Sure. Hi Matt. How have you found playing regular minutes in Europa League so far during the past month?
Obviously, anytime you get to step out on the field, it's a real treat. You work really hard during the week, and to get opportunities to play and show, for me, myself personally, how much I've grown as a player and a goalkeeper. It's been really nice, and obviously playing for this great club is such an honor and something that I don't take for granted. So it's been really, really great.
Someone had said to you this time last year you'd be playing European matches for Arsenal. Would you believe them?
I think like my ego might say yes, but I don't know if I would have been able to see the pathway forward. I don't know if as an American player, I didn't think maybe it was possible, or somebody with my playing history might have found it a bit more difficult to make a move like this happen, and to be able to play meaningful minutes for a club like Arsenal is truly special. So yeah, maybe I believed that I could play at this level, but I just didn't know that the pathway was possible. So it is nice to hear that and to think about it, and it puts things into perspective every time you step out on the field.
Just want to ask about, you said in the past when you were sort of at school in America, you'd be watching Arsenal games. What time would you be waking up in the morning to watch them, and what was it that drew you to Arsenal to support as a team?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really like the best story ever about supporting Arsenal. Really, it was after the World Cup in 2010, I bought my first game of FIFA, and when it says, what club do you want to support or select, obviously A came up first, and Arsenal was there. So then, but also, I made that connection. My sisters both played for a club team, a local club team that was called the Arsenal. And so I just made that connection right there and kind of stuck with it. And obviously, through the early 2010s, some really great times to be an Arsenal fan. And get up nice and early. Depends on when the kickoff was. The 12:30 kickoff here is 7:30. So anytime that Arsenal were playing, I was doing my best to watch. And as I got a bit older, I got into the pub culture as well, into New York City, and been around the fans for those types of atmospheres as well.
Do you think that makes it easier maybe for you to connect with fans now you're over here? Because in the last game they were sort of chanting USA after you made the save and all that kind of stuff.
That feels nice, yeah. I guess it's easier, but it's also more difficult because you want them to love you so much. You want to step out and you want the fans to love you because you were one. You understand the feeling of what it's like to be a fan. So I think I found the same with the national team. I was a fan for the U.S. national team before I was a player. So because of that experience, I kind of just knew that for me, coming here and being myself was the best way forward, and that I'm a really relatable person who has a relatable story to a lot of people in this life. And luckily, my dreams came true, and I get to represent this club every single day.
There's pictures of you celebrating the first goal against Bodo at the Emirates. Going pretty mad, celebrating that goal. I mean, that was your first appearance at the Emirates. You'd obviously played in Europe before that. Was that walking out at the Emirates with your backstory as a fan? Was that a really, really special moment for you?
Absolutely, 100%. My dad actually got to come over from America for that game, and that's how I play. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't hide away from anything. If I mess up, I tell you. If I do well, I'll also. I usually don't like to say that I've done well, but I like to celebrate big moments. So. I think that shows that I want what's best for the team, whether I'm on the pitch playing in the starting 11 or on the side. I don't know if the cameras got me celebrating after Leeds missed the penalty kick over the weekend, but that comes from a lot of homework that Aaron and I do together, and it was a really, really good feeling for me to feel like I impacted or helped impact part of the way the game turned out, even though I wasn't on the pitch. So. I just want what's best for this team, whether I play well or play badly. As long as 3 points go on the board, that's all that really matters to me.
How did you impact that on the game against Leeds?
Yeah, I'm saying like we sit there, we look through penalties, and we talk through them together. So yeah, maybe at the end of the day, it's Aaron's decision. He's the boss. He's in the moment. He's the one on the pitch. But there's conversations that are had behind the scenes, whether or not what we might think could happen, and yeah. What happened.
Jeremy, please.
Yeah, hi Matt. You've obviously not been playing Premier League football. I mean, do you think it's going to have an impact on your World Cup starting hopes for the USA, and whether Greg Berhalter may go with Zach Steffen?
Listen, I'm just focused on what I can control, and what I have before me are opportunities to play in Europe. For me, going out there, playing to the best of my ability, and letting my body of work over the last 12 months, 18 months, speak for itself. I've played 20 games for the national team in the last 2 years, and I think I'm in a good position to get, to play at the World Cup. But at the end of the day, like I said about Arsenal, if Greg decides that that Zach is the way forward, or Ethan or Sean are the way forward, and he feels that those are the best ways that we're going to get results, I stand behind the decisions that he makes. I support him as a manager, and I'll play whatever my role is to the best of my ability to help us try to win. Obviously, I want to play, and I feel like I've done enough to prove that I can play at that level. But again, you can only control so much, and I feel like I've done well with the things I can.
Does Greg have any reservations about your lack of game time?
I don't think so. I mean, when I was playing week in and week out in MLS, it didn't impact my playing time in a positive way. So for me, being here, I literally was benched one game during World Cup qualifying, and the message was, playing week in and week out in MLS wasn't enough. So I'm here chasing whatever more is, and I'm training at a really high level. I'm challenging myself in areas that I need to be challenged. Playing under a fantastic coach who holds me to a high standard and believes in me, and that feels really nice. And yeah, I'm just doing everything I can. I go out there, I compete. Like I said, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm an open book for you guys, and I'm really going for it.
And how much do you want to be at the World Cup and taking on England quite soon?
Yeah, it would be great. Obviously, coming over here, being American, being at this club with a couple of the England international guys, we already had some banter about it. So I'm really looking forward to it. And also, I think it would allow me to really, really settle into the English way of life in some ways, understanding the people, and people sort of understanding me a little bit, and just having that. It's kind of like a special thing to play each other at a World Cup, and it's just like the peak of your career. So to have shared that with a country that I'm new to living in and getting accustomed to would be really special.
We've seen, Matt, from the way that Arteta has asked Aaron to play, that he wants his keepers to have the ball at their feet a lot. Is he asking the same from you, or has he said for you to have your own style when you're in goal?
No, the expectation is pretty clear for the model that we want to play. And that's something that took a bit of a learning curve when I first got here. But I think I've done better, and I think that's kind of been the MO of my whole career, is that I have this tremendous capacity to learn. I'm not the same goalkeeper I was 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 18 months ago. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. I'm trying to, adapt to the demands of the modern game, just like most people, who are my age, where maybe when we were 22, 23, 24, that's when things really started changing for goalkeepers. And like I said, the demands have changed in general. So, yeah, you got to adapt, and you got to be able to learn new tricks. And I don't think that I would be here if they didn't believe in my ability to learn.
And on those meaningful minutes you spoke about, were you giving guarantees in the summer about the amount of game time you get, what starts you get?
Absolutely not. No, there's no guarantees in this game. It's all about how you train, the trust that you earn from the manager, from the players around you, and then when you get the opportunities to play, how you do with those minutes. So I wasn't given any guarantees, no specific clarities on my role, just that everything's open. You come, you show up, you work hard, and anything can happen. So for me, it was a risk, obviously, going from being a shoe-in starter week in and week out to go to a place where it wasn't looking likely that I would come in and be a starter or get consistent playing time. But I felt like it was a necessary risk that I had to take. I always wanted to challenge myself at the highest level possible. And yeah, I think I'm here right now, and I'm playing at a great football club.
Matt, having come over here ahead of the World Cup and seeing the England regulars up close on a more regular basis, has that changed your sort of confidence for facing in the World Cup? Are you more or less confident?
No, I'd say probably just about the same. We have a belief in ourselves as a national team. Obviously, seeing these players, you realize how gifted they are, but you can tell that as well from the TV. England's got one of the most talented pools in the entire world, not just their region. So that was always going to be a challenging game for us. And I think our group in general is the lowest FIFA ranked group on average. So it's a tough group. Every single game is tough, and yeah, obviously we want to talk a lot about England versus U.S. and it's a great storyline. But at the end of the day, before that game, we each have one match to go through, and in the World Cup, as we all know, anything's possible. So if you look too far in the future, you're going to find yourself in some trouble.
And what are the sort of conversations you're having with Kyle or Ben, the England players here?
Yeah, I mean, most of my banter comes with Aaron about it, but in reality, most of it was around the time of that international window back in September, and then when we came back from that, I think Mikel did a great job of sort of snapping us back into the fact that we had a pretty intense period ahead of us, and so we kind of left that international window and all international talk behind us. And we had obviously a North London derby coming out of the international break and games every midweek and weekend from there on out. So I think for us it was, yeah, we joked about it a little bit around then, and then we realized, we have a lot to go through between then and now. So.
Sorry, when you do speak about it with whoever, who starts the conversation? Is it just about, can't wait to get you in Qatar, we're going to hammer you, or how does it work?
Yeah, it's just normal banter like you would have with anybody. It's just like, oh yeah, America versus England. Yeah, you talk about the Revolutionary War and this stuff. Just joking around, just stuff like that. And that's more me joking about it.
How do they come back to you on it?
They just, yeah, same thing. They laugh and they just joke about that they're gonna smash us. So it's all good.
Yeah, I'm Emil from Dutch media. What do you know about this PSV squad?
Yeah, I know a lot about this PSV squad. They're obviously a very high-powered offensive team. They scored a lot of goals as of late. They're always challenging for the title in their domestic league, and they've done well so far. In the group stage in the Europa League, we're the top two teams in the group, and we know that they have a lot of individual quality. A couple dangerous players up top. I think the left winger has 13 goals, 11 assists. And those aren't stats that you just turn your nose away from. That's stuff that you have to consider. It's going to be, we expect a physical game from a very, very good team, and we know that we're going to have to be on it if we want to take all 3 points.
Yeah. What do you know about those star players of PSV?
Yeah, just exactly that. We know that they have a lot of quality, a bit of a chip on their shoulder as well, in a good way. They have a good swagger and aura about the team in general. So we know that they're dangerous if we give them too much, that they can make us pay. So I think for us it's important to start the game well and, not take any moment in the game for granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick one. Aaron's obviously developed a bit of a reputation for kind of goading the opposition fans behind the goal, all kind of nice natured, I suppose. But I just wondered what's he like on the training ground, and have you kind of felt under pressure a bit to kind of replicate that when you play?
No, I definitely don't feel any pressure. He's his own person. He approaches the game the way he does. And for me, being in a foreign country, the last thing I want to do is go up to the fans and antagonize them or whatever. So for me, that's how he sort of gets himself into the game, and it's part of who he is, and it helps him play better. But no, definitely don't feel any pressure to replicate that.
What do you need to get yourself in the zone? Are you the opposite? Are you more zen?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm zen. My focus comes just from within myself. Before games, I like to take time, just be mindful, think about things, perspective about what I'm doing, the magnitude of the club that I'm representing, and just being grateful for the opportunities that I have that lay ahead of me.
Matt, can I just ask as well? Last week in Norway, your boss Mikel said he praised you for a phenomenal performance. How did that make you feel? And what's it like working under Mikel?
Yeah, it felt really good, to be honest. But again, it's one game. So for me, it's how can I take that performance and continue to build on it continue to get better. And again, like I said before, my goal is to take this as far as I possibly can to the highest level possible. So good performances are good. You tick the box and you keep going. And working under him has been fantastic. He's somebody that's challenged me. He kind of figured out what makes me tick early on, I think, because I'm super competitive and I hold myself to a high standard. And sometimes the way we play, or at least the way we train, it can come with a bit of failure as a goalkeeper, because you're asked to take a few more risks than traditionally I've taken in the past. So it was challenging for me at first to adapt to the way, but he always picked me up, and he was one that told me to always keep my head high. Even if I was frustrated with something, don't show it, just keep going, because in football and in life, there's loads of failures. You go through a lot of failures, but it's really about how you react to them and how you pick yourself back up. So I think that was kind of the message early on that really helped me ground myself into the team, and then start to show my personality and get to know the guys and become somebody that I feel like the guys can trust, on the field as well as off the field.
About tomorrow, do you know Eric Gutierrez?
No, I don't really know Eric that well, to be honest. I know he's a great player, but I don't know him personally.
And you played against Arabia Saudita,
Mhm.
Saudi Arabia, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And any advice about this team, because it's in the same group that Mexican?
Yeah.
I think that is difficult, not easy.
I think any team that's qualified for the World Cup is very challenging. I think the challenges we saw when we played Saudi Arabia were, in the second half in particular, they figured out how to press us. So I think that they have a good manager who makes good adjustments for them, and it made life difficult for us. I think they're very physical. They're a bigger team, and a lot of shots from distance, dangerous crosses into the box and set pieces. So they're a good team, and like I said, in the World Cup you have to be on it. So we obviously didn't score any goals against them. I think they were pretty disciplined, and that can be sometimes challenging to go up against in a World Cup. So I hope Mexico does well, but just not as well as us.
Hi Matt, you say you want to take this move to the highest place possible. What is that move? What is that highest possible place for you? What do you want to achieve at Arsenal? What have you come to?
I'm not really sure yet. I think it's just one foot in front of the other. Win every day, get better, 1% better every day on the training ground, and try to win the games that I have the opportunity to play. And we'll see. I think that's kind of the mentality that I had when I was in MLS. At first, my goal sheet was kind of individualized, and I put a lot of pressure on myself, when in reality, when I changed my goals and my outlook was more team-oriented, the individual things started sort of happening for me. So that's my outlook as well here. It's I want this team to achieve as much as possible, and I know when that happens, it'll bring me to where I want to go, which I don't know exactly where that landing spot is yet, but I know that at the end of it all, at the end of my career, I just want to be able to look back on it and said that I gave it a real go.
What would you say the biggest differences you've seen so far playing in North America and Europe?
Obviously, a lot of cultural differences on the field. I think you have a lot more backgrounds represented here in Europe in general. I think training habits are a bit different here as well. I don't know if it's just this club or whatever. This is the only experience I have in Europe, and every time we go to a new country in Europe, you can imagine that's my first time in that country. So obviously in North America, it's such a big space, such a big area. There's people in the United States that have never ever left the United States, and that's very rare here in Europe. So you don't have as many as much experience with other cultures and other people, and that's something that I'm so grateful for here.
So just those differences in training, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think the intensity over here is a lot higher on a day in, day out basis. The attention and level of detail that we receive from our coaching staff is super, super high. And again, these are just my experiences. Maybe it was specific to New England and Arsenal, and those are just the differences that I'm talking about, because I know with the national team it's a bit more like here in terms of the level of detail and the intensity of the session. So things change, but those are just my experiences.